I have a friend who works at the Chinese Space Agency. He says that they're blackmailing NASA in exchange for technology that Congress forbid them to receive.
So that is Bart Sibrel, the biggest moon hoax guy we have on the planet. There he is on Piers Morgan. He also gets onto Rogan, and he repeats that claim a lot about how he's got a whistleblower in the Chinese National Space Agency. Well, I got some exciting news. We know who this guy is, and I'm going to reveal it right now, and we're going to see whether this guy is a credible source or not.
Are you Bart's inside guy and as an employee of the CSA?
Yeah, I tried to correct him on this. I said I'm not an employee of the CNSA, and most importantly, it's not blackmailing. It's not blackmail. It's a friendly agreement, nothing to do with blackmailing.
But you are his contact when he says that.
Yeah.
That was a clip from a recent live stream on YouTube that I was participating in. And the man there goes by the name of Rasa Vihari. And he's a bit of a mystery man, but his real name is Russell J. Robinson. And he's a US expat. And he lives in China.
When I started working for the Chinese National Space Agency, which wasn't until 2021, I wrote a couple papers for them, but one of them was on the production of these boron nitride nanotubes.
I believe he is just an English teacher. And this image here shows that he is an English teacher from Zhejiang University in China. And I also believe that he may do some translation work.
So my work for the Chinese National Space Agency was basically just a translator. They asked me to search through NASA documents. What is the radiation shielding methods? What are the cancer treatment methods? And I did my research, and I just translated that to Chinese, and I gave them the papers.
So, question for you, Rasa. Are you a translator or not?
Yeah, sort of.
So he may have translated some documents for the Chinese National Space Agency, and he may have translated some documents from the Chinese Department of Energy. But my alternative hypothesis is actually that he is a crank with a vivid imagination and quite a vivid fantasy life. So I think thinks he has discovered a perpetual motion machine. I think he believes he's a quantum physicist that can develop over unity devices, in other words, perpetual motion machines or machines that give you free energy.
I worked for the Department of Energy from 2015 to 2019. I was working for the Department of Energy in the field of theoretical physics and what we call quantum over unity devices. I moved to China, and I was working in some free energy research in China, 2008, 2009, 2010, and I left to China. And then I came back to China in 2015, and again, I was doing this free energy research.
Yeah, and like all real scientists that work for the Chinese government or work for a private company that works for the Chinese government, he publishes his research results on a YouTube channel.
I have a YouTube channel called the 0 Point Institute, right, where I've been putting my scientific experiments, for many, many years there on that YouTube channel.
And you can go there and you can see Russ's battery-powered perpetual motion machine, and you can see Rasa standing on the roof of some building out in the middle of nowhere, waving some sort of ball around. And here we have Rasa sitting on the floor in his English classroom, telling us that he's the foremost quantum mechanicist, the greatest quantum physicist in all of China.
And I'm not so particularly worried about losing my job, because they kind of really need me, because I'm really the leading expert in all of China regarding quantum mechanics.
National Energy Administration?
I wasn't working in that building, I was working for a private company that was associated with that. This is the same thing I've been saying since 2019. In 2019 was the first time I decided to come out and admit what to whistleblow, to reveal classified information, which I was told not to tell. And in 2019, I just said, okay, I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to come out on YouTube.
Yes, and I'm so happy this is my first time on YouTube or anything like that.
I did my first interview, and I said very clearly, the original agreement was that NASA would come clean about the Apollo missions after landing a man on the moon for real. So that's probably going to be Artemis 3.
Yeah, source, trust me, bro.
We want to keep our friendship with NASA, okay? Because we're hoping that eventually, once NASA figures out a way to send a human being through the Van Allen belts, that they'll let us copy that technology.
Sure.
Same way that they let us copy everything else.
Right.
So the Chinese government does not want to expose NASA. Not yet, anyway.
The European space module is pointed towards the sun. The last point is that in 2014, when Buzz Aldrin came to China, also Valentina Tereshkova and Alexei Leonov came to China, and all three of them had promised to come clean about the fact that they faked their missions.
Do you have
Not
like a
only
video or a signed document, or how did they do this?
No, you'll just have to take my word for it.
Nobody will take your word for it, Rasa.
I believe that this Rasa Vihari, this Russell J. Robinson, is in fact Bart Sibrel's inside man at the Chinese National Space Agency. I'm sure Bart has not checked to see whether the guy's credible or not. We can see here that he is not credible in the slightest.